it's me, OGDuffy, and we are back with a versus video. Oh yes guys, these back in the day were popular. You guys loved them. Now if you're new to the channel and you haven't seen one of these before, basically what we do, we look at an old arcade game and then we look at all the home releases from the day, whether that be on the 8-bit computer systems, the 16-bit computer systems, or even consoles, etc. Okay, so always great to look at, because guess what, some of these conversions are ropey as oh yes, especially for certain company called Tiertex are involved. But we go back, we have a look at all the old systems and all the conversions, and then I'll give you my judgments at the end to which ones I think were the best of that category. So for this week's game we are looking at this. Oh yes, Bad Dudes versus Dragon Ninja, or just Dragon Ninja as I believe it was called in certain parts of the east of the world. Oh yes, not a bad little game actually. But as always, before we get into seeing all the home conversions and then giving you my judgment, let's go look at the arcade original so we can see what we're comparing to. I'm looking forward to this one. Bad Dudes vs Dragon Ninja, released in 1988 by Data East. It's not actually a bad arcade game, it's very playable, it's good fun. You get good value for money on this one when you put your coin in it in the arcade. Let's press start. President Ronnie has been kidnapped. Not short for Ronnie Reagan, of course. Oh no, poor old Ronnie. But anyway, we're going to go and save him from a gang of ninjas. Now ninjas back in the 80s and 90s, for whatever reason, I really don't know, they were hugely popular. I remember at school everyone was massively into ninjas and stuff. I really don't know what it was all about, you know what I mean? It was, but anyway, it's multi-platform, you can jump up and down, as in the sort of style of Rolling Thunder and stuff like that. You get a vast array of enemies, some throw stuff at you, some have swords, some you get attacked with by dogs and things like that. It's, you know, end of level bosses, all that sort of good stuff that come with all them games back in the day. Now in terms of systems we're going to be looking at and conversions for this, in terms of consoles we're only going to be looking at one console release, and that is the NES. Pick that up, a bit more health. So we're going to look at the NES, and then we'll look at the 16-bit systems, namely the Commodore Amiga and the Atari ST, and then the 8-bit systems, or the usual suspects as I often call them, the Amstrad CPC, the Commodore 64, and of course the Sinclair ZX Spectrum, that very humble little computer that quite often surprises us in these little competitions, shall we say. But anyway, this is a look at the arcade version. So as you can see, graphically very bright, got a nice little soundtrack going along in the background, decent sound effects, very playable game, 3 lives along with a health meter. Again, you might well recognise this enemy here. He is Karnov, and I am Bad. Oh yes, that's level 1 done, or stage 1 clear. So all in all, it's a great little game and a thoroughly good one back in the day. There were differences between the Eastern version and the Western version, namely the name. I think over here in the West this was Bad Dudes versus Dragon Ninja, and over in the East it was called either just Bad Dudes or just Dragon Ninja. I can't remember which now, and there was a different ending as well for each version. But all in all, a very iconic little game really. And now this level, for me, the truck level, always is memorable, and the reason being memorable for me is because a lot of the screenshots when they converted it to the home systems in the time had like magazine shots showing the graphics from this area. Okay, so that's why I remember this level so well. So anyway guys, that concludes, that's the game. Let's go take a look at the NES version first, and then let's come back at the end after looking at all the versions and I'll give you my verdicts. First and only console version we're looking at today is on the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System. Now this is probably one of the better conversions that we're looking at today. Okay, graphically it resembles the arcade original very close. You can tell you're playing Dragon Ninja on this, or Bad Dudes versus Dragon Ninja. Has both sound and sound effects as well, which both are pretty decent. The controls at times I can feel slightly inaccurate, has some ropey collision detection and occasional sprite flicker. But all that aside,
not a bad conversion at all, and like I said, probably one of the better ones we're looking at today, released by Ocean on the NES this, so yeah, not a bad start all in all, good start. Let's see how the other systems can do, shall we? First of the 16-bit systems we're looking at is the Commodore Amiga version. Now on the face of it, this looks a really good conversion graphically in particular, guys. I mean, magazine screenshots would have helped sell this one for sure, and I find myself saying that quite often where the ST and Amiga are concerned. But unfortunately, guys, that is where the positives end. Very poor controls. You're unable to jump over items and pick items up. You have to crouch, you have to then hit your space bar. It just all feels awkward and it just don't fit right, you know. Surely crouching would suffice, pushing down. But no, you've got to push buttons and all sorts of stuff. But it seems not. It looks good. It sounds average. But that's where it ends, I'm afraid, guys. The controls really did let this down. This could have been so good. But the controls, what were they thinking? Now, upon initial looking, it looks very similar to the Amiga version, but as you can see here, the Atari ST version of the game is a lot slower. It suffers similar control issues to the Amiga version as well, including having to use the keyboard to pick items up. You know what I mean? Why they just couldn't have all done that on a single joystick, I just don't know. The animations of the sprites, I think, is poor in comparison to the Amiga. It plays a lot slower, as I've said, and it has very basic sound effects. And all in all, it's just such a shame, really. Such another poor conversion in it, really. I mean, looks better than the Amiga in respect of the speed, but the controls let it down on both the 16-bits. Such a shame. Let's see if the 8-bit systems can do any better, shall we, guys? The first 8-bit system we're looking at is the Amstrad CPC. Now, first impression, it looks good, looks decent, it makes good use of the Amstrad's colour palette. I say that so often, you know, but again, only very basic sound effects. The game plays at a steady pace, and overall it's not too bad, right? But a question for you guys, right? Why does Bruce Lee appear on the loading screen of the Amstrad CPC version of Bad Dudes vs Dragon Ninja? What's the connection there? Because hey, I can't see one. Anyway, guys, drop it in the comments if you know. And remember, do stick around for my verdicts at the end. What should we look at next? Well, only a choice of two, really. The Specky and the Commodore 64. Let's see how their versions compare to the Amstrad, shall we? This here's the Commodore 64 version. Now, I quite like the look of this conversion, and it's one of the conversions I do remember from back in the day. I can't remember if I played it or not originally, or if it was one I remember from a friend's home or something, but it was, yeah, it weren't too bad. No, I've got fond memories of it, really. Plays music for all the levels, sound effects, and the controls in this conversion work well. There's no extra keyboard button for collecting items, and unfortunately though, the controls still don't feel quite right. Well, that's an improvement over the Amiga and the ST. Again, the collision detection in this is a bit dodgy, but you know what? It's not all bad, guys, compared to what we've looked at so far. So, all in all, not a bad effort on the C64, this one. The final conversions we're looking at today is on the humble Sinclair ZX Spectrum. Now, what can I say, really? This plays as poorly as the graphics and sound are what you're hearing now, and seeing, obviously. Plays slow, it's clunky, and we know, right, we all know that the Specky's got limitations and it has to make use of monochrome graphics for a lot of the games that were produced on it, but the monochrome on this one doesn't work. It's it's like the enemies blend into the background, and you find yourself having probably more of a headache than an entertaining time on this game overall. So all in all, not the best conversion, but which one wins? You know, we've got to go and take a look. So we'll go and get my verdicts now. And in the comments, guys, your memories of this. Did you play it on the arcade? Did you own it on any of these systems? Let's get my verdicts.
That concludes the versions of Bad Dudes, Dragon Ninja and all that, and all in all, what did you guys think of that? Now, question time. If you've done already, do so, hit that subscribe button because it makes me happy, man. I'm getting refreshed here. Look, while I get refreshed. And comments, your memories. Did you actually own and play this back in the arcade in the days? And did you own it on any of those systems that we looked at today? Okay, now let me give you my verdicts. But always, guys, if you're new here watching these for the first time, do comment, and if you want to disagree with me, do so. Be pleasant and polite about it, but I like you guys disagreeing with me because I love hearing your thoughts and opinions, and quite often you guys will tell me stuff about these games that I never knew. Alright, so please feel free to share or agree with me, whichever is easiest for you. Now, looking at the various systems there, in terms of the consoles, we only looked at the NES. Easily the best conversion, okay? Throw it straight out there. So it's against itself, it obviously wins. Okay, clear-cut winner overall, probably the best version out of all of the systems we looked at. 16-bit, we had the Atari ST, we had the Amiga, right? We looked at them. Now, in terms of graphics and screenshots for magazine adverts and stuff, you would have been fooled into going, wow, that looks amazing, that looks well impressive, and it did. But unfortunately, as you saw with both of them versions there, that's where the positives ended. In second place, it's going to the Atari ST, and in first place, the Commodore Amiga, okay? But the Amiga only just took it, I'll be fair. Both were ropey, but the Amiga was slightly better than the ST. It's as simple as that. And now to the 8-bit systems. Probably my favourite systems, ones we remember the most. Oh yes, us of a certain age. We had in third place, right, let's get straight into it, the Sinclair ZX Spectrum. I love the Spectrum, I've got so many lovely memories of it, but you know what, this was just a really bad conversion on the Specky. Real shame really, but hey, it is what it is. In second position, I gave it to the Amstrad CPC, which tells you the Commodore takes it, okay? Commodore wins this one outright for me. Graphically, it's the one I remember the most. It looks better than the others. It played better than the others. Don't get me wrong, at its faults, it wasn't perfect, far, far from it. But in comparison to the Amstrad and the Specky, to me, it was just a better version, okay? But, that said, still not brilliant, you know what I mean? But hey, it is what it is. That's what we used to have to put up with back in our day, kids, yes. Mate, remember, we should get so excited because we play these great games like this on the arcades. And you go, oh, it's coming out from a home system, and that's the conversions we had, guys. That's what we had to put up with. So it was never arcade accurate, really, or very rarely, until we sort of got into the newer consoles and genres and things like that. So anyway, guys, comment. Let me know your thoughts. Did you own these? Did you play any of these? And did you remember the arcade original? Any stories, any memories you have? Hints, tips, etc. all about this game. And why were ninjas so popular back then? I often wonder. I don't know what the fascination was, but it's not just me. Honestly, it's school and that. Everyone was always, it was ninja-tastic, mate. Everyone was on about the ninjas. So comment, please. Hit the like, share, and all that good stuff. And if you don't already do so, subscribe. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this versus video. I will plan a few more because we haven't been doing enough of these of late. Yeah. Anyway, guys, as always, this beer is for you. Cheers, people. Let's have suggestions for more verses.